human thought is the most powerful aspect of creation. And it's constantly playing in us. But when our thoughts speak to us, do we really stop and listen to what we're telling ourselves? Our lives are not random if we can only pause and listen and try to connect the dots. I'm going to take you on a little journey to see why it's so important to listen to yourself. This is a story about a little girl, born in a Parsi family, drawn to music and beauty in nature. She conducted this orchestra in the skies, with the clouds as her string section, and the mountains as her percussion, and the birds as her brass section, and the trees as the woodwinds. And all of them played in harmony to her. Even before she went for music lessons, she was scribbling these tiny notes that she called music. And pretending her table was her grand piano, she played to glory with all those melodies right in her head. And then she did start taking formal lessons in the classical piano. Thereafter, nothing could daunt her spirits. And she noticed if something needed strengthening, this is what she did. She found that the ring and the little finger were generally weaker than the other three fingers. So she composed this piece, this exercise, specially to strengthen these two fingers. This is what it sounds like. Please listen to the top two notes, because that's where you'll find these two fingers playing heroic roles. This is just a gist. Thank you. This is just a gist. She went on practicing this for hours till those two little fingers were strengthened. Well, that little girl was me. I practiced as though music was all I had to live for. And soon I grew to be a fine classical pianist. And then there was a silent voice in me that started speaking and telling me, "You are a fine musician, but there must be more to the secrets of life. Why are we born? What is the purpose of our lives? What creates our circumstances? Where do we go when we die? Is there something called lasting happiness?" These questions tugged at my heart. I just couldn't shrug them away. And so I started peering into these textbooks that my grandfather had on Vedanta. Now, Vedanta is a traditional and a systematic unfolding of wisdom in the land of India. And all my prayers and yearning and longing for answers dramatized itself into a very peculiar situation. One day, I return home and I narrate to my father how I have topped this competitive entrance exam for a master's degree in mass communication. And although I had all these questions in my head, I thought maybe I would be good at this course and maybe I should join it. And my father looked at me and all he said was, "I think you're going to get your answers in the study of Vedanta." That was just what I needed to listen to myself once again. Here was I longing for answers, then why was a university course luring me to do it just because I topped an entrance exam? And what did that dramatize in? it was overnight. I packed my bags and left the world that I adored, music, and went to remote places in search of knowledge. I lived in jungles with my teacher and my fellow students and wild animals and books and prayer for company. I studied the ancient Vedic texts, learned the incredible language of the gods, Sanskrit, was chanting the Vedic texts, decoding these cryptic passages to make it easier to understand. Like a researcher who stays away from society in his laboratory till he finds what he's looking for, here was I away from the world, seeking answers and enjoying every moment of it. Then, the next silent communication to myself spoke. It said, you're so blessed to have received this knowledge. Of course you need to share it with those who wish to partake of it. And so, a teacher in me was born. And here was I, traveling the world and communicating to all those who wanted to partake of this grand wisdom. And time went by. That silent communication in me was never muffled. Now it was longing for something it had left behind 19 years ago for the study of Vedanta. My soul was longing for the melody, the rhythm, the harmony that nourished it. Music was making its presence felt, and the pianist in me beckoned. And here was I playing and communicating all I knew, now through music. Listening to myself has always found me more centered. And when you are in the center, the whole world harmonizes to bring you what you need to be inspired and move on. This was very evident in the next event in my life. On one of my routine travels abroad, I meet with a team of brilliant minds doing research on sound vibrations in music. Then I seemed to understand why my childhood orchestra was one in the skies with the clouds and the trees and the birds and the hills. That orchestra in the skies was crying out with sound fractions and sound distortions caused by our wireless and Wi-Fi systems. And here I was part of a team researching, creating new sound patterns to balance off these sound fractions. The events in my life have moved me. From being a conductor of an orchestra in the skies, to being a classical pianist, to being a seeker of knowledge, and then a teacher of Vedanta, and then coming back to do work to bring back harmony and balance to where it belongs. That little girl conducting her orchestra in the skies is the one who's coming back to help the same backdrop. It was almost like nature telling me, go find your moment in every moment. Learn, equip yourself, and come back. I have no fixed north. My North Star keeps moving and makes me move ahead to be reborn in what is needed in the next moment. I have always found listening to myself is never to be underestimated. The most meaningful and powerful messages you give are those that you speak to yourself. And what would you be like if you listened to yourself more? You find you would do what you were born to do. There would be less aggressive comparisons and complexes. You would shine in your own glory. You would define your own glory, just as I did mine. And so, stay. Listen to yourselves. Take cues from people and the world around you. And then just pause and acknowledge what you are telling yourself. And surely it will take you to your own true north. Thank you.